Hello, Salina, and welcome to the Ideas for Real Estate podcast. I am so excited to have you here to be able to learn from you so you can share your expertise, the real inside scoop for everything LinkedIn.
Yay!
Yes.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me, Heather.
Absolutely. And you are the person to talk about when it comes to LinkedIn because you have been there behind the scenes. You help people with LinkedIn now, and you have a vision for using LinkedIn proactively to make a difference in your business. So I'm very excited to start this conversation with you today.
Same here. I'm so excited to chat with you about that, and hopefully, I can bring some value to your audience.
100%. And this is the first time that we have talked about LinkedIn on the podcast. We've talked about so many other different platforms and strategies for marketing yourself, for generating business. And I would love to start off the conversation with just thinking about LinkedIn and why LinkedIn marketing and being on LinkedIn is something that you should be doing right now. What is the advantage? Why should agents, real estate agents in particular, focus on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I love that questions a lot. I always talk about these three pointers. There's like no brainer to have a very optimized LinkedIn profile because LinkedIn uses a lot of like Google SEO. So try this with me while you're listening or watching the video with me and Heather, this conversation. Go on LinkedIn, search your name.
Hmm.
I guarantee your first three search result is going to be top of it, your LinkedIn or Instagram because LinkedIn really derive a lot of data from Google. So you will be able to rank your LinkedIn profile higher on SEO without really like putting too much effort on SEO doing your website. So that is like one of the number one thing, right? When people do search your services, your real estate services, you'll be the top of the search. So really leveraging on that. Second, about content. There's just so little people are really consistently creating content on LinkedIn. There's
Mm.
perhaps less than 5% out of 8 million people user in the world. So it's really easy for you to cut through the noises if you try to basically stand out on the platform by just creating content. So I would say this is like a really fantastic way to stand out without, really hacking the algorithm on TikTok or other different platforms, but really LinkedIn, it's to me, is like a no-brainer when it comes to creating content. Last but not least, of course, business decision maker, right?
Mm.
All CEOs, all like C-suite executives, people that is actually making a decision and have high net worth. In fact, average of their annual income on LinkedIn is 78K annually. So if you're looking into finding a buyers for your for a $1 million house or up, it's so easy for you to find like prospective clients that is having higher net worth on LinkedIn than elsewhere. So these are my three pointers. To me, it's like no brainer to really spend some time on optimizing your LinkedIn profile to get some sales for your business.
That is huge. That is a huge takeaway. So, if you are listening right now, Selena said those three things, and I was jotting down some notes while you were talking. The first one was that LinkedIn profile. I don't think a lot of people are aware that it ranks so highly. So, if somebody were to Google you, which we know they're going to research you, if they're going to research where they're going to eat lunch, they're going to research who they're going to use for a real estate transaction. This is
Exactly.
branding yourself in a way that's easy and free, right? You're not having to like hire people, make a website, do all these things. So,
No.
one, branding yourself.
Yeah.
Huge. The second thing you said was about the kind of little amount of content that's being created. 5% of people are creating content. So, in
Yeah.
real estate, one of the big topics is standing out from the competition. If I'm on Instagram, if I'm on Facebook, if I have a website, well, there's millions literally of realtors out there. So, this is a
Absolutely.
platform where you can go and stand out from the competition. And
Yeah.
the high earners, you mentioned that. So, that has a higher average income on LinkedIn. So, taking this back to real estate, of course, we want to work with people who have the potential to buy and sell homes, but also that raises your sales price. So if you're an agent thinking about this, okay, I had a goal to sell $10 million in homes this year. That was
Yeah.
my volume goal. If I head to LinkedIn, there is higher chance I'm going to connect with people who are interested in homes and a higher sales price, which is going to help me hit that volume goal. So, those are
100%.
huge reasons if you're listening right now to give LinkedIn another look, because I know a lot of people out there kind of have maybe filled out a profile but don't open it, don't use it. It's
Yeah.
not something that they go back to. Do you see that? Do you find that people kind of set it and forget it and don't really dive into all that LinkedIn offers?
100%. I mean, me included 10 years ago. I just use it as a resume, right? But LinkedIn have changed so much in the past, like actually 3 to 5 years. In fact, the CEO right now used to be the head of product for
Mm.
LinkedIn. So there's so much new feature. There's so much like new innovation in the platform. They also created this creator funds for people that it's actually creating content on LinkedIn, which it's easy for you to basically get sponsor content
Oh.
online. And if you win that prize, for those who is listening in the US, you can get 12.5K as a creator fund, which is incredible. So there's like so much innovation on the platform that really try to position LinkedIn as a completely new platform for small businesses, particularly to thrive, as well as like build a really powerful personal brand, as well as their company brands on the platform.
So thinking about that, if you haven't opened up LinkedIn in a while or you've never opened it up, what are some of those things that they're innovating? What are some of the different, types of content or ways that you engage on the platform? What's that look like right now?
Yeah, I love that. So there's just so much. Previously, right? LinkedIn is really used as a resume. Like even though now when you go to the LinkedIn your profile, it's still structured as like an online CV.
Mhm.
But in the about section, there's so much more you can be able to like write your story. And I see a lot of people have been doing that, right? Like how do you help, who you are, as well as like how can someone possibly discover you on LinkedIn as well as on Google would be able
Mm.
to work with you, right? So they have like the link above your profile, which is like very similar to like Heather, like you teach on Instagram how to basically optimize that link, like the CTA link on
Mhm.
Instagram. LinkedIn have that too. So imagine you're ranking already high on Google search because of LinkedIn. That link should be like link it to your real estate portfolio or someone like something that would be basically drive the most valuable traffic to. It could be your website, it could be something like your booking links, anything. So that is like a huge innovation. Another big innovation is LinkedIn Live. I know
Oh.
Instagram have their Instagram Live. LinkedIn Live is extremely valuable to connect with new audiences. And I learned from multiple of my clients, like despite how small your audience is, let's say you're looking at your LinkedIn profile right now, you have around 500 connection, right? Which is like from all your previous professional network, I think all of us must have around that size or maybe lower, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
LinkedIn would be able to push your LinkedIn Live to more new audiences, targeting the audiences that you want. And that is exactly why it's so crucial to go back to your LinkedIn profile, making sure those keyword that you're filling
Mhm.
is really real estate like optimized, right? If you're still using all those keywords from your 10 years ago job, it could be completely different from real estate, right? For
Mhm.
instance, or luxury real estate or anything that it's like you wanted to be able to win the SEO and LinkedIn ranking, then that is the way to go. So those are really, really like helpful tips. The other really big one is content, right? Like Heather, you and I talk about like how little people, how few like audiences are creating content on LinkedIn. They recently updated this, which is like creator analytics. So you will be able to go
Oh.
back on everything that you have posted previously or upcoming, and you will be able to see, okay, each week, each day, each like year how fast I'm growing in terms of follower, which is my top performing post. So in terms of repurposing content is easy. In terms of how many people are looking at your content, it's easy. As well as you will be able to like rank like a bit like Instagram as well. You'll be able to basically change your page to just video centric. And that is something really crucial for you
Mm.
to grow on this powerful platform right here.
Oh, okay. So that's a lot. A lot
I
of things to
know
think
it's a
about with
lot of
LinkedIn.
things has changed.
But
Yeah.
it's really good because I have a couple of follow-up questions to that. You
Tell
mentioned
me.
ranking. So in the beginning of the conversation, we talked about, somebody searching your name and the LinkedIn profile coming up. But is it possible for someone to search maybe like realtor in Miami, you're in Miami, and to have your LinkedIn profile come up?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah. So headline and summary, the about section that we just mentioned, contributes 70% of LinkedIn and Google SEO. So if
wow.
you have like real estate agent in Miami, this, like, let's say these are the three keywords that you want to win, really making sure you have that on your headline, making sure you have it on your summary, then it contributes 70%. For the rest of the 30%, it's in your work summary. So that is exactly why it's so important to update your work experience part. Okay, now you're based in Miami, and this is your like real estate portfolio. What type of, like, basically property you're selling? Is it residential? Is it commercial? Like
Mhm.
things like that, making sure you put it in your work experiences. Then LinkedIn, based on those keywords, derive what type of profile they should be pushing you towards, as well as how many people will be able to discover you, right? Like
Wow.
for me, for instance, if I'm looking for a house, I like content about like luxury real estate, or like, let's say I'm looking for commercial real estate for my job.
Mhm.
Then LinkedIn knows that I'm looking for that. Then they will push your profile to me if you have that optimized well
Wow,
on your
that's a
LinkedIn
huge
profile.
opportunity. I have a
Yeah.
question for you there. You mentioned the headline and the summary. So for us
Yes.
newbie people to LinkedIn, if you're not very familiar, what exactly is the headline? What is the summary?
Yeah, so headline to me is the same with the Instagram bio, right? When you have that like Heather, you have Heather Kobe ideas of real estate. That's practically your headline in Instagram. And then on LinkedIn, you have roughly, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around 250 characters to be added in. So to me, my headline formula is first talk about who you are. So for me, it's like your LinkedIn business strategist. So I would win LinkedIn. I
Mhm.
would win the word business. I'll also win the word strategist, right? So I have that for my first part of my headline. I use a divider because to me it's like really clear to people who is reading. And then I put my niche statement. And then the niche statement should be something like, I help, and then call out your audience. I help
Mm.
entrepreneur to win eyeballs, trust, and clients on LinkedIn. So that's my niche statement. So when people is like reading, oh, who I am, how I help, and then the last thing is like a divider again, keywords. So if you want to win Miami, for instance, right? That we talk about, Heather, then you can put Miami there. Despite whether you have Miami or not, LinkedIn allows you to put your location. So you will be able to find real estate around your region, like Miami, Florida. People are like basically in your geography, somewhere around that sort of like radius of your location. So you can either put it in your headline or just have it in your location. Sorry, have it in your headline. So making sure you have those like keywords that you really, really want to win. Like for example, you're targeting luxury real estate, or you're
Mhm.
targeting, let's say, in a specific region, let's say Florida, then you can put it there, or a specific type of like commercial real estate or
Gotcha.
residential. So those are the keywords that you can drizzle. And then last but not least is something that cut through the noise. It could be
Mhm.
like, for instance, ideas of real estate. That's like a podcast name. You want to say, I am a podcast host for ideas of real estate. Then you
Mm.
can add it there too. Like something to basically let others know there's, apart from just LinkedIn, Instagram, places to
Oh,
basically
okay.
find you. Yeah.
So what else you're doing? Okay, so then what is the summary? If that's the
Summary is
headline.
your about. So summary, you can actually put a lot. If I'm not mistaken, you can do 2,000 words on the about summary. So obviously, like, I'm not asking you to stuff it with tons of stuff, because
Mhm.
like how many people is reading stuff right now. I would do it in bullet point. What I usually recommend my clients to do, it's like the first thing needs to be a hook. I love to ask a question. I like to talk about some of your audience problems. So for example, it could be like real estate right now. It's right. The interest rate, it's crazy, right? It could be asking
Mhm.
like a questions about, are you struggling or buying a house right now because interest rate is, off the roof, right? Things like that. Then people will be, oh, this is so relatable, I want to read more, then people would click see more, that button, and then your whole about session would be sort of
Mm.
like show on. And then you can talk about like who I am, how can I help, like okay, now interest rate is a lot, but I find a special way you would be able to buy your house with lower interest rate, or other sort of like ideas for you, right? And then go about to talk about who you are, how you can help, and then a bit of your background story, right? Like that's why people decided to work with you. Why is it so special? I want to work with you other than, real estate agent number B in
Mhm.
Miami as well. Then you can talk about, okay, this is my success track record, how many real estate I be able to sell, how many clients love working with me, XYZ. And then at the end, it needs to be a very clear call to action, which is a lot of people missing out. What is the call to action that is most important for you right now? Is it to book a call, book a sales call with you, book through Calendarly, book a booking to do viewings, or is it going to go through your, let's say, sales funnel?
Mm.
To look at your portfolio, how many different amazing real estate that you have sold in the past few years, or anything that it's really important to you. It could be also an interview that you have done with a magazine, right? That you
Mm.
really want to make
Social
sure
proof.
your yeah, exactly, your clients really see and trust you already. So making sure you prioritize that for your CTA. And that's it. That's the about section, how you can basically rank higher on Google as well as LinkedIn.
For that section right there, when you mentioned the call to action, taking a direct approach to what you want people to do next, right? Where are you leading them? On a lot of different platforms, links aren't clickable. Like, for example, there's not a lot of places on Instagram where you can have clickable links. Can you
Yeah.
put clickable links throughout your LinkedIn profile?
Yes, which is absolutely amazing. So the top links that I mentioned earlier with the profile URL, that's
Hmm.
clickable. About section, clickable. There's one more area which is a new innovative feature that we talked about previously. I'm sorry, I might missed out a few, but feature section, which
Oh.
allows you to add 3 cards and more if you like. But to me, I just like tell my clients to do 3 cards. That's more than enough because that's like what people see. So right underneath your about section, that's the feature section. You can add up to you can actually add a lot of cards, but to me, just add 3 cards is more than enough. The first card, again, most important CTA. It could go to your Calendarly to book viewings. It could be going to your website. It could go to your freebie. It could go to your podcast show. Anything that is most important to you. That's the first card. Second card, something I would say building trust, something
Mm.
that you need to nurture your audience with. It could be something like it could be a feature that you did with a huge sort of media. It could also be something that you really want to show off to your audience that, oh, you have done an amazing job within your industry. It could be a award that you have won, right, within the real estate agents industry. And then the last card is which most of the people would not click, because if the first and the second card is already like really juicy, but if you still want it, that could be something related to like your client's testimonial. So
Mm.
if you have like your YouTube or Vimeo already upload tons of like video testimonial, you can put it right there as well. So to basically add even more credibility to what you're doing right now.
So is a card basically content that you're curating? Is it a post that you've pinned to the top? What exactly is a card within LinkedIn?
Love that question. So you can do both. So you can do without even a post. You can already like add the URL there. Like let's say it's your Calendarly link. Then
Mhm.
that would be directly, I click that card and it would directly go to your Calendarly. Let's say you want to like do a booking. So that's A to do it. If you want to highlight your highest performing post, let's say it's a viral post that you did,
Mhm.
you can pin that to that cart as well. So let's say that post is already going viral. There's like 3,000 people liking it, more than 100 commenting on it. Then you can pin that to your feature section. Yeah, so you can do it in both ways.
Oh, okay, great. So if I had, let's say, a video that I wanted to share, like you
Yeah.
had mentioned a testimonial. Maybe I have a great testimonial from a customer about how I helped them buy or sell a home. Could
Yeah.
I upload that video without it being a post and then highlight that as a card?
Yes, you can. So you can do it, but it needs to be a link that it's like YouTube or
Okay, gotcha.
Vimeo. So it's not like a
Mhm.
native one. But if you do want to do a native one, like a native URL, then you have to post it as like a LinkedIn post to be able to pin it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So basically, if I have a resource on my website, some kind of opt in, lead capture, maybe a home buyer's guide, I could
Yes.
link that to my website. If I have something where I talked about winning an award or being recognized within my brokerage, I could pin that as a post. And these are all the cards at the top.
Yes, exactly. And if you are, like featured by Forbes, right? Forbes might have an article of you, then you can use directly Forbes URL to put it in your feature section card. Yeah, right away.
And now, are there any analytics in LinkedIn to know what people are clicking on or how they're engaging with the type of things that you're doing here?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, no. So you wouldn't be able to see how many people clicking on your feature section, nor the link. But when I mentioned the creative analytics, you will be able
Mhm.
to really see, your profile viewers, like how many people visit your profile in the past 90 days, 30 days, up to a year. You can
Okay.
know the search appearance, which is actually your SEO numbers on your LinkedIn. So how many people basically like see your profile throughout LinkedIn and Google, you will see that numbers over there. And when you do click on that, it gives you even more data. Like, for example, keyword that you're being found for. Like, for instance, I win LinkedIn business strategist, I win marketing director, I win LinkedIn instructor because like I'm one of them official LinkedIn instructor, as well as top companies your searcher work at, which is really important because like if you're looking into like selling commercial real estate, you want to know who is your people that have
Mhm.
seen your profile all the time, and that's where you would be able to see it over there. Yeah.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's what we want. We're trying to connect with people. So it doesn't matter if they're clicking on something. What we really want to know, are people finding us? Are they reaching out to us? Are we starting these conversations? We've talked a lot about the LinkedIn profile, and I get this question a lot when it comes to Facebook and Instagram as well. You have the opportunity, to correct me if I'm wrong if I phrase this incorrectly for LinkedIn, but to create LinkedIn business pages, right?
Yeah,
What do you recommend there?
completely.
Should it, let's say, just a solo real estate agent, should they just have a profile where it's their name, optimized, or should they have another page as themselves as a real estate agent?
Love that question. I would say start really focusing on your individual profile because that's already give you so much
Mhm.
like bang for your buck when I mention it because your time is your money. So focusing on that first. What I think is really good to create a business page or what other people call company page is that it gives extra credibility on your LinkedIn profile, right? For instance, my company is the In Academy LLC. I created a company page there. And when I someone's go to my LinkedIn profile, scroll all the way down to my work experience, they would be able to see a logo that is
Mm.
specifically the In Academy, right? So they're like, oh, this is like a legitimate business. It's a little bit like what I love to say in analogy when someone is sending you a business email, they send it through a Gmail. How much trust would you give, right? Whereas like when I see Heather, your email is sending through, oh, I see your company name in
Mhm.
instead of Gmail. I trust that way more. So to me, this is just this extra layer. If you can just spend like not more than like 15 minutes to just create that company page is really easy for you. And LinkedIn like make it so easy for you to create to drive followers to your company page too. You have 250 credit to invite your connection um to follow your page. So it's not like starting in the beginning. You can invite literally if you have 1,500 with your personal connection using your individual profile, you can invite those people to follow your company page. So it wouldn't start from scratch from there.
Okay. So thinking about that, if you're a real estate agent that is already with a brokerage that is a company, you know what I mean? They
That's true.
are maybe not, they're not employees, but they're affiliated with a company. Do they
Yeah.
need to take the extra step to make a business page, or can they just, kind of link, I'm at this brokerage for that credibility?
Yeah, like I would link it to the brokerage company page if they have one. Yeah.
Mhm, gotcha. Well, some might not. So hopefully if you're listening, if you're not a real estate agent, but if you're in leadership, you're in marketing, you're staff owner at a brokerage, this inspires you to use LinkedIn as well to create more connections,
Yeah,
right? So when we think about, I always like to think about marketing as a door to a conversation, okay?
absolutely.
Wherever you are using your marketing, whether it's email marketing, it's posting on social, whatever it is. So, when we think about the LinkedIn landscape, how do people really go about connecting with the person? So, if I'm thinking about somebody, I am a real estate agent, okay? I'm sharing all this great content on LinkedIn. Let's say, for example, I'm in Miami because we've been using your location in today's podcast. And I specialize in high rise condos downtown Miami on the water. If you guys are listening, watching the video that goes with this just describes Selena's background perfectly to where she's at.
And the tropical storm.
Yeah, it's beautifully sunny here in Orlando, but not down in Miami.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm posting about how to choose the right building. I'm posting about HOA fees. I'm doing all of this stuff. Am I looking for somebody to say, "Hey, I wanna connect with you on LinkedIn," or should I be being more proactive and connecting with other people? Where does it kinda go from that next step to actually connecting with the customer, and what do you
I love
recommend?
that. I love that. Two ways. Proactive ways is where, like, when actually someone visited your LinkedIn profile, where when I mentioned like your profile viewers, there's like an analytics. Once you click on it, you will be able to see who actually land on your LinkedIn profile and seeing your profile individually. So you will be able to connect with those that is already interested in you, checking
Mhm.
you out, stalking you, and you can DM them and say hi, right? I think Instagram doesn't really allow you to do that from that perspective, but more in the content front, right? So LinkedIn allows you to do both, right? If you, like Heather, you said you post consistently on LinkedIn, there's people liking your post, commenting. To me, this is like a no brainer to just say hi and say, hey, I want to break the ice of social media. I want to say thank you for engaging with my post. FYI, I'm doing this for, if you're interested, I'm doing like high rise building in the waterfront. If that's something interests you, let's have a chat, right? It's like very open ended, not really salesy, nothing like sleazy about the message,
Mhm.
but you're just literally open up the entire conversation. So that's one way to go about it. Go back to your LinkedIn profile, check profile viewers for the past 90 days who have viewed your profile and say, hi, just say hi to have the first conversation. And the best thing about this action that you do right here, sending that connection request, visiting their LinkedIn profile, it will help you as well to show your content and your profile up to
Mm.
68% to their profile. So every time when they're active, when they're online, your profile will be seen more than anybody else outside of, your sphere, like your competitors, right? So that is a really, really good action. And that's to me is a proactive way of doing so, through content and profile viewers. Another really, really good way is we talk about keywords earlier, right? What
Mhm.
I would do is we talk about Miami. I would go to Miami Real Estate, who is actually hosting events right now right now in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Usually, like it's very current. Whoever that actually no one knows that, and when still working for LinkedIn, I think it's a hack that no one's really using this amazing strategies, and I don't know when they're going to like stop people from doing it. It's go to that and click register. Once you click join, you will see that, let's say, 1,000 people, 100 people joining that events, and each individual profile interested in Miami real estate and
Mm.
waterfront. Like, let's say that's the event title or webinar, or a physical event that is hosting on LinkedIn, and you will be seeing all those buyers, all those maybe affiliates potential, all those partnership or
Mhm.
potential real estate agent that want to work with you on in terms of that. So that's like such a huge way to connect, instantly connecting with your best fit clients, as well as clients that have the financial ability to pay for you. Going back to this like beautiful circle of the average order value or like the net worth of individual on LinkedIn.
So when you were just going over that, I was jotting down some notes here thinking about, okay, real estate. Well, if we're thinking about real estate events, maybe people might be registering for maybe different development buildings that are opening up, or workshops on buying and selling, investing real estate. But I was thinking some creative ideas there would be like maybe there's some kind of luxury boat show,
Yeah.
luxury boat event. So that might be your ideal customer. Something having to do with lifestyle, like
Yes.
golfing or these more luxury activities. Those might
Yeah.
be people that you want to connect with. And you had mentioned, I love this line, so I want to repeat it in case people who are listening miss this. Selena said, I wanted to reach out and break through the ice of social media. What an easy way to just say hello to somebody, because I recommend people, have conversations on Instagram.
Yeah.
Similarly, try to reach out to people. And I know people feel very awkward. Like, what am I going to say? They're going to think, who
Yeah.
is this weirdo? But if you say, I want to break through the ice of social media, I think that's, would stand out and
Yeah.
people would feel like you were more genuinely interested in them. And I do have
100%.
another question. You mentioned looking at the people who have viewed your profile to go back and engage with them. Is that a feature that's available no matter your LinkedIn account, whether you have like free or you're paying for anything? Are there limitations there?
There's a great question. You can do it for free, and I think it allows you to visit like around 10 profiles. I might need to come back to you for that, but I do recommend, like, LinkedIn Premium is not expensive, and you got a lot for what you're actually paying for. It gives you higher, what I call SSI score. I know it's another acronym, so we need to learn, but it really helps you to rank higher on LinkedIn as well. Like, just like that blue check thingy that Instagram have or Twitter have. Help me with that word, Heather. I know you're an expert in that. Like that, right?
Right.
To
Your
give
verified
you more.
account.
Exactly, verify account. So to me,
Mhm.
LinkedIn Premium, it's like a verify account,
Mm.
and it allows you to see a lot of things, like from that end, as well as like if you have like a third degree connection that you're not friends with anyone, you don't necessarily know them, but you really want to close them as a client, you are really interested to work with them, you can send them what I call the in mail as well. So you have around 15 emails if you're like me using the LinkedIn for business account, then it should be more than enough. And also, every time when someone accept your email, you will get that email back. Right. So it's really depending on how well your message is formed. Like Heather said earlier, like breaking the ice of social media, you just really want to get the first response from someone. It doesn't need to necessarily this lengthy essay and say, this is what we represent, this is my
Mhm.
company, yada, yada, yada. And then people like, who will read that, right? Think about you getting pitch slapped right in the get-go without really building relationship. That's really tough. And I know who is actually listening. Real estate agent number one top what I call like strength to me is really relationship building, right? You will have
Mhm.
amazing portfolio of clients that work with you more than 10 years or maybe even 20 years, or who is dialing in 30 years, right? And these people will continuously working with you. And I'm also, me and Heather, I'm pretty sure you're someone that teach people when you're selling or marketing is really that relationship base marketing, relationship based selling. And that's the power of LinkedIn and Instagram when it comes to that.
So you could, what we say in real estate is your sphere. You know what I mean? Your sphere of influence, the people that you know for repeat and referral business. We've talked about finding new people to connect with, but is LinkedIn a good platform to foster those connections that you've already worked with people, or maybe even people just within your industry as well?
Absolutely. I mean, LinkedIn, it's great in not just, what I mentioned, the job updates, your anniversary of the company, how long you have worked in the company, the work anniversary, but also in the content perspective, right? When you do want to say, oh, I just featured by Forbes, right? Oh, Instagram is a great platform to talk about. But how amazing if you can tag Forbes on LinkedIn and say that I have recently featured by Forbes. That's, to me, is like win win win, right? It's just really, really great credential. Forbes will like the post because their editors are on the
Mhm.
platform. There's so much media opportunity is on the platform. In fact, most of my clients that win media feature is using LinkedIn because
Oh,
most
interesting.
of the journalists is on LinkedIn trying to find CEOs to write their piece, to know what is, the trending topic in their space, right? We talk about AI all the time, ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Every update is on LinkedIn. I think Twitter did a really good job with journalists like finding their piece as well. But I would say
Mhm.
LinkedIn is like another level when it comes to connecting with people that is really looking for media opportunity, someone to interview, like an expert like yourself. Yeah.
That's a huge tip. And if you're listening right now and you're thinking, okay, I love that. That's great. But maybe Forbes isn't for me. I'm, in this smaller market. I would love to think about the opportunity for cross marketing, like you just mentioned, Selena. It's not just the one outlet, it's cross marketing and the media exposure there. But there is a lot going on in real estate right now. There has been for years. There will continue to be a lot going on in real estate. This could be your opportunity to reach out to a local news station, a local magazine, a local paper, and start forming those connections that then make you that local expert. And LinkedIn is a platform where you're going to look a lot more professional. It's not like you need to go create some fancy website that says, "Hey, I'm the best," but based on what you're putting out there on LinkedIn, this might be another opportunity for you to connect with more people. So that is a huge idea, to use LinkedIn for media features in your local market.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Forbes, hey, if you can get Forbes, go for it.
As example, but you're right, like
Mhm.
all huge media, local, regional, internationals are all on LinkedIn, right? And the editors, the chief editors are there. Like, how amazing if you can connect with one of them and they love your stuff, they like the expertise that you're sharing on the platform, and they can just basically use your piece and feature you, interview. It's like a win-win for
Mm.
both of you guys, right? You getting the visibility that you need, the media that you want, the exposure. At the same time, they would be able to do a really good job in finding the material that they need to finish that piece. So it's like a win-win for both of you guys.
Jot that down if you guys are listening, if you're driving, if you're watching. That is a great, a very creative marketing idea. And
Yes.
you talked about, people going to your profile and seeing the type of content you're putting out. So then, of course, kind of leads us down the road of content. What
Yes.
kind of content should you be sharing and posting on LinkedIn? Does it have to be super professional? Should it be very educational? What kind of content works well? What are you seeing right now on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I love that questions. And I think people usually overthink it when you're creating content on LinkedIn because they're like always like, oh, Selena, like a lot of my professional networks are there. Could I do the same what I did with Instagram? Since like Heather, your audience are like Instagram experts, since thanks to you, I would say try to repurpose some of the content pieces that is performing really well on Instagram to LinkedIn. And you can go about a few different ways, right? I talk about content pillars a lot. I'm pretty sure you teach about that too, Heather. But I would think about the content mix, right? When you go to someone's social media, despite any other platform, what makes someone text and wanted to follow you? To me, is things that is educational, something that add value to them, and they would get sticky with you. I love to call your sticky audience. So in order to do that, go back to your Instagram, check out some of the educational type of video. It could be like I mentioned, like, oh, how to basically hack your way if interest rate is really high to get a house that you want, right? That could be one way of doing it. Heather also mentioned like luxury real estate, or like maybe you're more in the B2B space, teaching real estate agent how to become a better real estate agent. Let's say, right? You're a coach of the real estate agent.
Mhm.
Then you teach about that space. How do you find clients? Which is the best platform? It could be Instagram, like how to make beautiful images. You learn from Heather how to do it. Then you can basically, add your twill to it and make it educational on LinkedIn. So there's three sort of like format that I think is really easy for you to do cross promotion and even use the exact same format from Instagram to LinkedIn. One is IG Reels. Obviously, IG Reels work so well on Instagram. LinkedIn also have LinkedIn short video. In fact, if your video is less than 1 minute and 30 seconds, that would give you a lot of visibility as well. And I mentioned how little people are creating like
Mm,
content on LinkedIn, right? And you're creating video content, that's like amazing. Like majority of the people will do text posts or maybe article,
mm,
right? And if you are being able to repurpose your IG Reels to LinkedIn short video, bam, that's amazing because you cut through the noise. And when you're showing off your real estate portfolio, what better than showing that like beautiful kitchen, beautiful
mhm,
bedroom, beautiful like I don't know, like oh swimming pool, right? Through video. So that's one way of repurposing it. IG carousel, you can do the exact same repurposing. One pro tip is to customize the very last page. I know the Instagram last page is like something like saved heart and something to
oh,
basically
this yes.
exit, right?
Mhm.
Then really customize it to your LinkedIn audience to something. It could be like follow you, or it could be your Calendarly link, or DM you some stuff. So going back to how to basically start a conversation with your LinkedIn connection. So that's two of the format: IG Reels, IG Carousel. Last but not least is use your Instagram images. I'm pretty sure you're so familiar with of telling your own story. You learn from Heather
Mhm.
how to create amazing like CEO story or real estate agent story. Talk about that, your why on LinkedIn. That are some type of things that would instantly drive emotion, inspire people to take action to follow you. It gets stickier because people get to know you as a real estate agent than any other people out there that is talking about the same stuff. So I would start with those three.
So of those 3, so we have the short form video under a minute and a half for LinkedIn, the carousel and images. Is one performing better than the other?
Yes. So now LinkedIn, we're talking about, June 2023 right now. The algorithm pushes carousel the most
Oh,
as
okay.
we speak. Previously, a year when I'm teaching is actually short form video.
Hmm.
So it really changes here and there, very similar to Instagram algorithm change here and there. I will actually go back to your why of creating content and go back to your strength as well. If you like presenting in video face to camera, or like just video voice over, then do that. If you're
Mm.
good in doing carousel and show off your expertise in the carousel format, do that. If you're someone that writing story or storytelling in such an impactful way, do that. So really go back to your strength, because you can never catch up with all those changes of social media algorithm like Instagram, LinkedIn changes everything in there. So I'll go back to that.
So I have a quick question about the carousel. Can you share a carousel no matter your account, whether it's a business or do you call them company pages or a personal profile? Are there any limitations there to sharing carousels?
No, actually, not at all. If you have a carousel that it's up to 200 page, you can even upload that. Personally,
200?
I know. Personally, I would not recommend that, because I think it's for people that, uploading like white paper, like
Mm,
really long form researches. I still see there's companies like, like the big four, like Deloitte is talking about a certain topic, let's say
mhm.
AI, like how it's impacted the human human being. And then for a very long form piece of content, you can, if that's something interests you. But to me, my favorite ways of doing it, it's not more than 10 pages is more than enough. Around seven is a really really good way to basically consume and for your audience to digest.
Which is perfect because Instagram is 10, caps you at 10. So
Perfect.
let's say you're creating a carousel maybe to promote a listing.
Yeah,
That's an option. You could talk about the listing or the open house, things of that
I love
nature
that.
as well when it comes
Yeah.
to your content. So
Yeah.
I think like what I'm taking away from you is LinkedIn content, especially, it doesn't have to be boring, stuffy, old school, professional. There's room there for personality and true value when it comes to your content.
Absolutely. And to your point, LinkedIn actually recently updated the LinkedIn algorithm. If you have your selfie, your
Mm,
face, some sort of face, and also some sort of like within your taxes about your story, it will get
interesting.
pushes even more. So, I mean, to me, personal and professional, it shouldn't be a two separate you. It's always an integrated sort of identity of yourself, right? Like how do you like differentiate you from your professional yourself? So I always think you don't necessarily need to like create a separate avatar for who you are. So exactly showing off who you are on Instagram, showing that off on your LinkedIn as well, because this is exactly who you are and how you roll. So don't necessarily create this new identity of who you are on any platform. Just do you, and you will be surprised how many people is attracted to you.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Because then at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to work with people to foster these relationships. If you're not presenting yourself as your actual self, that can be a huge disservice to you with the
Absolutely.
type of people that you're trying to connect. And we started this conversation, we were talking a lot about luxury in the luxury space. But there's potential for you to do any kind of target marketing, right? So let's say you're a real estate agent and you work with more rural areas, maybe large estates or farms, or maybe you're near a military base and you work with a lot of veterans and people who are active service members. LinkedIn could be a place where you kind of find your people too, right?
Absolutely. Through job titles, you can do that,
Mm,
right? Like you mentioned veteran. They have like a group on LinkedIn which is really huge, and they're a really warm, active group as well. And then all you need is just go into that group or attending of those events, right? So you're right, like specific job title you want to target. Let's say your most of your clients are lawyers, or most of your a target audience are higher educations, like they have an MBA, you can target that using LinkedIn too. So it's like very easy for you to find your audience right there.
yeah, that's huge if you think about it. So let's say you have a luxury listing and it is in within a short commute to a hospital. Maybe reaching out to doctors for connections or people who might fit that type of property's home.
Yeah.
I mean that type of property's, value that with the right person.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you can do with LinkedIn. It's very exciting.
I know it is. I know obviously I'm so biased when I'm talking about LinkedIn because I built my business off of it. Plus, I used to work for the platform, but I highly, highly recommend if you learn from Heather about how to use like Instagram for your business, do also LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Both platforms will give you so much opportunity together.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So, if this conversation has inspired you, has fueled you up, has had you thinking, man, I have not opened up LinkedIn in a long time. As the final takeaway, Selena, what's your number one tip for getting started with LinkedIn? The end of this conversation, what should somebody do to take action?
Love that. Go to theinacademy.com. I recommend
Mm,
you to download one of our freebies is the ultimate LinkedIn profile checklist so you can get started right away. You know exactly where to be updated. We talk about some of the best practice, but please go back to this episode because we talk about a lot of formulas so you can go back to it when you're updating your headlines. Then you can put your AirPods in, listening to this episode throughout the conversation, and then update your headline, update your summary. You don't need to take more than an hour to update everything, and you're done. Because once you update this, it's already up and running, and the
mm,
keyword will stick on Google and stick with the LinkedIn algorithm. You don't necessarily need to do anything, but in order to grow on any platform, you and I know needs to be content, right? So if
mhm.
you're interested to just have your profile up and running for you, working for you, just like a winning SEO website, then just optimize your LinkedIn. That's the only thing that you need to do. And if you are interested in growing, then you can repurpose your content that you learned from Heather from Instagram to LinkedIn based on the three formats that we discussed earlier today. That is the way to start. And thank us 1 year from now when you're growing massively on both Instagram and LinkedIn.
That is the dream, right? So
Yes.
I hope you guys listening enjoyed Selena's insight. You got a few golden nuggets and you're excited to try LinkedIn. So thank you so much, Selena, for being on the show. And I cannot wait to have you back sometime to dive deeper into LinkedIn marketing.
Thank you so much for having me, Heather.